Hi, everybody. On this Thursday, Chuck and Bob with you for our social media preview of the high school football weekend. Week 6 in Michigan, Week 7 in Indiana. Hard to believe, but we're into the home stretch of the regular season. Let's start up in the state of Michigan. Great showdown in the Southwest 10 Conference. Pair 5-0 teams squaring off as Katsopolis goes to White Pigeon. The Rangers, well, we kind of expected this out of them. It's the Chiefs who are a little bit of a surprise this year.
Chiefs being undefeated after Game 5 is terrific, and a chance for them to go up against a team like Katsopolis would be a great test for both teams. I think Katsopolis is a team that's playing with a lot of confidence. White Pigeon, kind of new territory for them, but boy, it's exciting up there, and I know they're pumped about a chance to get a good game against Katsopolis.
Katsopolis ranks 6th in Division 7. White Pigeon is 4th in Division 8, but boy, Katsopolis, they've got some tremendous speed. Owen Gardner's averaging 9.5 yards a carry. And then their quarterback, Sirius Johnson, he only has 17 completions, but 6 of them have been taken to the house for touchdowns.
That's what happens when you don't pass a whole lot. When you do, it's very effective. We've seen that over the years with teams like New Prairie. Might throw 4 passes a game, 3 are complete, 2 are for touchdowns.
How much of an underdog is White Pigeon in this game? They haven't beaten Katsopolis since 1984. So that's our look at Michigan. In Indiana, Culver Academy comes down to Marion. Andy Dorrell's squad coming off an exciting 9-7 win over Elkhart Memorial last Saturday, but now they have to go to what's been a house of horrors for them. They haven't won at a Tulski Field since 1991, so Deontay Craig, D1 prospect for Culver Academy, but he's got to deal with this Marion squad that has been on a roll this year.
I think if it was a basketball game, Culver Academy would be maybe a little bit more of a favorite in this one, but as it is, you're going to bring a disciplined club to play Marion, and you're going to have to be. Marion Knights are playing very well. Maddox Begonia's gaining confidence every game at quarterback. They've got a good crew on defense. It's been really exemplifying what Mike Davidson likes to do, and that is to have a dominant type of defense. And they've got enough people on offense that are able to put points on the board. So this will be a tough test for Culver Academy.
Begonia has accounted for 18 touchdowns this year, 11 throwing, 7 running. And that defense that Bob mentioned, 2nd in the state right now, allowing just 4 points a game. What about down in the Three Rivers Conference? Tippecanoe Valley and Mechaniqua. Tippy Valley, Stephen Moriarty's club, I think one of the more unheralded stories in the area this year. They're 5-1. They lost on opening night to Culver Academy. They've won 5 straight, but man, the challenge they have going to Mechaniqua this week, where the Braves are just lighting up the scoreboard.
Yeah, Mechaniqua doesn't get a whole lot of attention in our area, but they are a solid program, and Tippy Valley is going to get a test that they really need heading down the final couple of games into the tournament. I think they're going to hold up very well against Mechaniqua, and it really is exciting to see that kind of success going on in Tippy Valley. It's been a while since we have a team down in Egg Country that's done really well.
Well, Dakota Gaff and Tanner Trapiti give them a pretty dynamic tandem in the backfield. They're only giving up 14 points a game. But here's a Mechaniqua squad that has, and don't say that 5 times real fast, that has scored 46 points a game in their last 4 games. And they have a big problem for Tippy Valley in Carter Little. 980 yards rushing, 217 yards receiving. The winner is still in the hunt for the Three Rivers title.
Three Rivers, of course, representing the Wabash, the Eel, and the Tippecanoe Rivers. We looked that up a couple years ago, so that's the reason I brought it up. But again, Tippy Valley's playing very good football. Mechaniqua, you know, back in the day, they used to play their basketball games at the Abanabi Gym. Say that 3 times in a row, it's going to be kind of tough. But I just think this is going to be a fun game. And as you said, we're getting to the point now with week number 7 where a lot of the conference titles are really almost to the point of being decided.
By the way, you know who started their coaching career as a head coach at Mechaniqua was Bart Curtis. So there's a little trivia fact for you.
A nugget.
Hoosier North Athletic Conference has a big game this week. Knox goes to Pioneer. The Redskins of John Hendricks, ranked number 8 in Class 3A, still undefeated, but man, oh man, did they bite off a big chunk this week when they face Adam Berry's squad, because since Adam Berry has gone to Pioneer, the boys in Royal Center are a mere 49-2.
Yeah, they've really struggled in those 2 losses, but this is going to be, again, a wonderful opportunity for Knox to really give themselves an evaluation of where they are this year. They've been playing very good football the last 3 or 4 years, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. They got people that are used to winning, and they know eventually you're going to have to play Pioneer and test yourself against one of the best teams, not only in their class, but in the state of Indiana. They've just been a dominant program at Pioneer, and they deserve all the credit they're getting.
The defenses have been really good for both teams, both averaging just a little over 9 points a game. The difference might be offense, because Pioneer averages 50 a game.
Right, and we know that Knox can be not a plodding team, but they can be a 3-4 yards in a cloud of dust. They don't mind that kind of football, so if they get behind in this one, it could be a tough test for them to put a lot of points on the board.
Last year in this week of the season on TV 46, we showed the game between Penn and New Prairie. Those two square off in the NIC headliner this week, and I imagine it's going to look a little bit different than it did a year ago when Penn absolutely dominated the Cougars.
No question about it. The Cougars have a lot of offensive weapons. They put a lot of points on the board, and one of the things that Penn has to be concerned about is their offense has been okay, but they haven't been the kind of a dominant offense as they were in the past few years. And they've had some issues with their quarterback. They've had some issues with the offensive line. I think New Prairie playing at home is going to be a big advantage for them. And I know that they had Adams last week, a game that we were going to do before the weather failed to cooperate. Now the coaches cooperated. They gave us a nice effort of being ready for that game. But New Prairie is a team that Chase Ketter might be one of the best quarterbacks in the state of Indiana. And they've got enough weapons on offense and defense to give Penn all they can handle. And as you said, it's a huge game in the NIC.
Well, here's the thing that's really tough to figure out about Penn is they've lost 3 games to very elite teams. One of the best teams in Illinois, one of the best teams in Ohio, and Valparaiso. Their 3 wins are over teams that are combined 1-17. So the Kingsmen sit there at 3-3, and here we are in week 7. You still really don't have a feel for how good they are. This game might show us. Meanwhile, New Prairie, you mentioned Ketterer, 3rd in the state in rushing. They put points on the board like it's nobody's business. They average about 46 a game, and that's going to be a big challenge for the Penn defense.
Well, and Chase Ketter is one of those guys that if you're giving him too much attention, he has no problem handing the ball off to Mays or any of the other weapons that they have, and he will throw probably 5 or 6 passes in the game, and if he completes 4 of them, a couple of them are going to be for touchdowns. So again, it's a very veteran group, and Russ Radke likes this group, and he lets the quarterback call his own plays, so he trusts them with every aspect of the game.
The winner sits all alone in first in the NIC North, and the winner of our 46th game of the week will sit all alone in first in the Northern Lakes Conference. Number 3 Concord goes down to the rock pile to take on number 8 Plymouth. This game has had meaning on it for the last 20 years. From 2005 to 2015, these 2 teams won every Northern Lakes Conference title. Now, neither one has won an NLC title in the last 3 years, so they're really hungry going in. We're taking a look at the Plymouth Aerial Circus, led by Joe Barron. He's only the state's 2nd leading passer.
And he's a tremendous athlete. Now, I was surprised a little bit looking at the numbers going into this game that he doesn't run the ball more, but you made a good point. You know, if Joe Barron were to go out for Plymouth, they really don't have a guy ready to step in and to run the offense. So Joe Barron is absolutely crucial to this offense and throwing the ball so well, and he's a veteran. You know, it's not like he's been there 4 years. It's more like he's been there his whole life, going to practice, watching his dad, watching his brother play. So he's very confident in what head coach John Barron wants to do.
Meanwhile, Concord, Ethan Kane is their quarterback. 15 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. 101 for 188 throwing the ball this year. He's got some weapons. Carter Neveraski, Jack Darcy, Marion Moore, they like to spread the ball around. In fact, you talk to these 2 coaches, they say it's almost like looking in the mirror at each team. The one difference, well, there's a couple of differences. One thing that stands out to Craig Kaler, the Concord coach that he brought up, is the fact that Plymouth has so much big play capability. Their plays of 20 yards or more this year are off the charts. The other thing is when you look at the line of scrimmage, Plymouth, they got, as we say, meat on the hoof. And Concord's got a bunch of quick, little, scrappy guys and that's going to be an interesting contrast to watch.
I like what Craig Kaler's approach is. You play who you have. Obviously, you'd like to have a bunch of 6'4", 260-pound linemen, but he doesn't. So they are using their quickness, they're using their abilities that they do have, and I think they've been very effective. And they'll need to do that against Plymouth. Does have more size than Concord this year, but again, size doesn't necessarily make you better. It just gives you an opportunity. But I just like the quickness. What we saw at Concord this week at practice, they have a good group. They like each other, and they love to play together. So this is going to be a great game, and it should be a great game if it's going to decide maybe the Northern Lakes Conference.
We always encourage you to go to the games, and we do that, but if you got your little device with you, you can watch it live on Facebook tomorrow night on 46 Sports Facebook page at 7 o'clock, and if not, you do what you've done for the last 30 years. You come home Friday night at 11, Saturday morning at 9, you're either sitting there with a pizza or a donut and coffee and enjoying the 46th game of the week. Now for my broadcast partner, the Hall of Famer Bob Nagel, Chuck Freeby, thanks for joining us here on social media.